So we'll go ahead and start. Welcome everyone to the Housing for All Marketing and Education Campaign Pre-Bidders Conference. So just the agenda, it's pretty quick. I will go through the Housing for All legislation, just do a quick overview, and then go through the campaign itself and the RFP that we posted. And then we'll have a portion for Q&A, and we'll be done after that. So as you guys can tell, you can't actually unmute yourself right now. And so when we get to Q&A, you will have to use the raise hand feature, which you should see on the bottom right of your screen. And then Mark will unmute you and you can ask your questions. The chat is also, you can also use the chat to put any questions in during the presentation itself, and then we can get to it at the end of the presentation. Okay, so just going into it. So Housing for All legislation. So in 2021, Councilmember Favor championed the Housing for All legislative package. And this package included 3 policies which focused on dismantling the systems that, perpetuate racism and inequity within housing, specifically by protecting renters in the community. And quick note, Councilmember Favor is on vacation right now, so she's really sad that she wasn't able to make this. But whoever, she will be part of the process, selection process, and also meeting with folks who will be doing this. So she will be active in this process, and I just want just convey her apologies for not being here today. So the 3 policies within the Housing for All package, number 1 was renter's choice. So this amended Chapter 4551 of the City Code to allow tenants the choice of how they can pay their security deposit. So obviously, traditionally, so you pay this full security deposit up front, but this makes it really hard for a lot of low-income residents and other people who just don't have that large sum of money to be able to put down. So this required landlords to provide 3 ways of making that payment. So you can either pay security deposit in the traditional way in full before entering the agreement, or pay it over 3 monthly installments or 6 monthly installments. So that just kind of helps residents who are renting be able to spread that initial payment over at least 6 months. The second policy was source of income. So source of income discrimination occurs when landlords refuse to rent a unit based on the tenant's source of income. So in Columbus, over half of housing choice voucher recipients are Black households. So often this source of income discrimination is a proxy for race discrimination. So this is really important to be able to allow residents that may not pay with wages to still be able to lawfully rent a unit. So what kind of income? There's a lot. So these are some: just Social Security, security income, rental, vouchers, or child support are just a few. And then finally, rental receipts. So this amended Chapter 4551 of the City Code to require property owners to provide tenants with a written receipt for any security deposit and all rental payments. And this was created because a lot of times people would pay in cash, like you leave an envelope of cash for your rental payment at the landlord's office. And then if they're being evicted, they had no real way to prove that they had paid their rent for that month. So the rental receipt is trying to get at that problem and making sure that folks who may not just pay like online or don't have a bank or a checking account are able to still get receipts to prove that they paid their rent and or security deposit. So we have had 1 year of this education campaign. So in 2022, an RFP, I believe in 2021, late 2021, an RFP was published to have this first iteration of the Housing for All campaign that ran in 2022. So through that contract, the campaign held listening sessions of the community and outreach with groups that these new ordinances would affect. So like our landlord community, key stakeholder communities that face maybe more challenges with rentals, and then they used these kind of outreach and listening sessions to understand how to shape the campaign. So throughout this last year, they created materials. We have social media presence on all social media platforms. Created a landing page, which is www.housingeducationforall.us. So I'd strongly recommend you all to check that out. You'll see some of the collateral and other materials there, as well as the education. And then we held the inaugural Housing for All Town Hall, which happened in June of 2022. So it was really big. It was about 250 people at Columbus State. And we hosted, you can see this picture here, we hosted a tenant resource fair kind of before and after the actual town hall. And so that it was really amazing. It was the first one, but we want to make sure that's like an annual event because there was so much need, and like a lot of people showed interest in understanding more about their housing rights. So, in an effort to continue this education and marketing on the existing Housing for All legislation and upcoming Housing for All legislation, Columbus City Council has made available $200,000 to conduct a marketing and community engagement campaign for 2023 to 2024. So we're really looking to build and enhance the work that was done in year one. And we'll be able to share some of that work with whoever gets this contract. So you won't have to be really reinventing the wheel, but we really want to focus on making it bigger and getting a larger net. So for those of you who have looked at the RFP, there's a lot of information in there. I just, for this presentation, really wanted to pull out the key points so that you guys understood kind of what was important for us going into this next year of this campaign. So one key point, we have a marketing emphasis on this year. So in 2021, when it was issued, the RFP, it was just an education campaign. I think a big learning for the team was that without being able to market and have people know that this legislation is even a thing, we need to do that before we can educate. So we need to build that brand for people to drive people to our social media, to the landing page, to be able to understand like what their rights are and how they can report any discrimination that they feel may be happening. So again, like we want a larger social media presence, cast a wider net across the city, and some ways that we want to do that is like radio, social media, etc. Again, we really have a larger we want to have a larger emphasis on events this year as well. So the annual town hall that I touched on, but also smaller community-based events. So and what that looks like is kind of up to the next organization that gets this contract, and our team to work together to see like what is feasible and what's the best way to hold these events. And then we want to also have a presence at community events, so like have a resource table at some of the events that are put on by the county perhaps, or other folks that have a housing that will have folks coming this housing information would be really helpful for them. So as I mentioned, we had a landing page that we created for last year. We want to create a more robust like web page, not just a landing page, but an actual website with tabs and some more just extra information that we can put on in a website. Oh, I'm sorry. So I think what also might be helpful is an understanding of the housing landscape. So when whatever organization is putting a team together, that's definitely key to be able to forward the education portion. And then when we talk about education, I think we really need to be creative in this next year. So, billboards, bumper stickers, videos, and being able to educate that way and not just giving people materials, because a lot of times those things just get lost. So how do we create a campaign that will educate but also reach the right people? And then outreach and engagement. So doing the outreach to key constituent groups and stakeholder groups, give them the information, but then with the engagement, making sure there's continuous engagement with those groups. So creating an open line of communication because we are still in year 2 and we're going to be adding more policies. There's going to be more questions. So how do we create that open line of communication where we can get folks deeper information than just the high level information that, kind of will be in the marketing campaign. So again, the budget is 200,000, and I think this will be really important when you guys are creating your proposals, is to create a 1-year budget by line item. And a lot of it you will see I left pretty open because I want to hear from each proposal kind of what they can see under each bucket. So just make sure that you illustrate a clear rationale, and it could be things that aren't even mentioned in there, but you think that it'd be a good part of the campaign. So all grant applications need to be received by Thursday, February 2nd, and it's going to be reviewed and scored by a panel of about 5 or 6 reviewers. And it's going to consist of individuals within City Council, but also in our departments who are qualified based on just their experience in housing, media strategy, and community-based outreach. And then the organization that is awarded the contract will be notified February 22nd. Probably through email, but I will double check on that. I don't know if we need to send a letter. I'll double check on that. And then proposals may be submitted by email to me at snjindal@columbus.gov, or a hard copy to this is in the RFP, so you'll have the information. You don't need to write it down, but it's Columbus City Council, and just make sure that you have it as Housing for All Marketing and Education Campaign. And then all of these questions and answers from today's session, as well as the RFP, will be on the Housing for All City webpage. So you can write down this link if that's helpful, but it's just columbus.gov/council/housing for all. Okay, I will open it up to Q&A now. I know I went a little fast, so if you have questions, I don't see anything in the chat. If you have questions, you can use the raise your hand feature, and then we will be able to unmute you and you can ask your question. Okay, Mark, am I on? No, okay, you got it.
Hi, the question I asked was, the budget is inclusive of media buys, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
And I think it's important to also note that if you think there is a need for a larger budget, you can also put that in there, but please justify that for why. And then I also say if your question is answered, you have to click that raise hand button again to be taken off. Okay, Anne, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I had a couple questions for you. Are you only looking specifically for ad agencies? And the reason I ask is we have a specific media that is going to be right exactly where you want to be on how to reach people directly. And so we didn't know if we ourselves, because we are a media in its own, would we submit an RFP, or would we send it out to the person who wins the campaign?
Sorry, so are you asking, can you explain what exactly you do so I can understand better?
Absolutely. I'm with a company called Commuter Ads, and we actually partner with Coda.
Okay.
And we do targeted audio messages inside the buses. So we can target people that are riders and have their messages playing as the buses are approaching specific neighborhoods, zip codes, landmarks, wherever you want it to play, we can have a message play. So every bus that's passing by that particular spot is going to pick up your message and play it. So being that we are the media, do we then wait and send it out to are to the ad agency who potentially may be awarded this campaign, or is this something that we can submit individually on our own?
So this would probably not be something you would individually submit because we are looking for someone that can holistically create the whole strategy and then implement them. So you might be part of a key to implement, but I don't think you guys would be the one that would be the strategy.
And will they announce who the winners are so that we can then send them all? We'll put together a full campaign, but we want to send it to the agency who wins that. Will we be able to get that information?
We can, yes, we can definitely share that once it's selected. You might also want to put your contact information in the chat. So anyone who wants to utilize you could just get your contact information and put you as part of their proposal. That might be
Sure.
a better way.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Ann.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Donna.
Um, will we have access to some existing website and social media metrics prior to submitting?
Metrics in what sense?
So like visitors and like uh, uh, some of the back end metrics of social media, those type of
Yes.
things.
Yeah, most likely because we'll be able to transfer all of the existing information to the contract holder for this year. So we'd be able to get you anything that I
So
don't
that
think
would be not prior to, but after it's awarded.
it would be after it's awarded.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, this is Carly. Just wondering if you've got specific KPIs that you are prioritizing. Do you want to see, for instance, bigger focus on event and populating those events, website traffic, social media engagement, post likes, all of the above, or is there a space in particular that you want to see more activity?
That's a great question. So we don't have specific KPIs. I think that's something that is listed in the RFP to look at what you would think would be the best way to gauge residents getting the information. Our biggest thing going into this next year is is making sure that we are going out to the community, not in creating a barrier for the community to have to come to us to learn the information. And so I think there's a heavy emphasis on marketing for that reason. So maybe it is how many people look at the website or how many people sign up for a particular event. I don't know what exactly that is because I am not a marketing genius, but hopefully all these people on the call are and will be able to tell us in what ways be the best way to use those metrics to define success. Okay, and then I'm just gonna ask if you don't have another question, click the raise hand again so that we know that you have already asked your question. Carly may have another question.
No, I'm sorry. I'm
Okay.
multitasking and didn't get it done fast.
That's okay. Are there any other questions? I will also I can put my information in the chat. So if you guys have any questions from now until submission, definitely email me or call me. Okay, I'm gonna give it another minute or so and then we can wrap up. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining. If you do have any questions, again, I put my email and my phone number in the chat, so please feel free to reach out, and we're excited to see what responses we get. Thanks so much. Have a great week. Bye.